Hi, my name is Veruna Padayachee and this is my channel Size. Today I'm going to talk about one of my favorite poems by Robert Frost, and this beautiful poem is called Fire and Ice. Robert Frost is known for publishing amazing and iconic poems, and Fire and Ice is one of them. Fire and Ice was published in 1920. This poem has been analyzed by scholars, and there's long essays written to analyze this poem. This is just my interpretation of the poem, what I feel Robert Frost was trying to convey. Some say the world will end in fire. Some say in ice. From what I've tasted of desire, I hold with those who favor fire. But if I had to perish twice, I think I know enough hate to say that for destruction, ice is also great and would suffice. First of all, the rhyme and the words are so simple yet so rich. It's a light conversational theme between the writer and the reader, but it can go as deep as you want it to go. Remember that the reader holds power of interpretation, and that can go however deep and wide the reader wants it to go. So first off, he's posing a question. How will the world end? We ask the question, how will the world end, as much as we ask the question, how was the world created? Humans are seekers, but poets are even bigger seekers. When I write poems, I often have a question that comes to mind, and the poem just flows out of that question. So at first, he favors fire. And fire is, by human instinct, the most common thing or the first thing that we will favor as something that will bring our end. Also, at that time, terminology like burning hell and inferno was around that time. The way fire was intertwined into language and conversation amongst people makes it the more fearful side. But ice is sly, just as he poses in his poem. So ice may not mean physically like fire burning. It is posed in this poem as hatred, which is an emotion. Hatred is an emotion so cold that it can cause cold wars. So you see that he has fire versus ice, two opposing kind of nations. And we ask the question, why fire and ice? Why is he choosing two phenomena to verse each other? We must consider that at the time Frost wrote this poem, it was around World War I. He has seen an opposing battle. He's seen a war. So he felt at that time probably that this was a hint to what the future will be. The future will be a battle, a war. And that's how the world will end. Also with fire, he talks about, from what I've tasted of desire. So he's talking about the human emotion of desiring things. So maybe something like a world hunger situation, wars and fights being created over food, desire. Desire also can mean money. Money could be one of the root causes of causing many wars and fights. A common theme that I've gathered in this poem is that he does seem to highlight a type of war situation a lot. Remember that 2 years ago, World War I had just ended, and this poem was published in 1920. So in his mind, he's still going through understanding or reviewing what happened during the war. So it feels like a lot of the lines are references to World War I. The poem ends up with no answer. Of course, the answer is left with the reader and what they think the answer would be. But that's not the only thing that he's trying to show. He's also trying to show that the answer or the fate of the world lies in humanity, which happens to be you, the reader. To be quite honest, a asteroid hurling towards Earth or a huge volcano erupting, fiery volcano erupting, seems a bit ambiguous. Because at that time, Frost had just seen a war. So he has just seen how fiery and cold humanity can be against each other. So the more realistic answer to him was that our end could be because of ourselves. Our end is not either. It's both fire and ice. I have written my analysis in a bit more detail, and that's on my blog page. So I'll put the link to the article in the bio, so please go and check that out. Thank you for watching my video, and make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Comment below what's your theory or what's your interpretation of the poem. I'd like to know. And if you enjoyed this video, share this with your friends, your family. Have a lovely weekend.